Welcome back everybody to today's episode on RHD Collective. Over my shoulder you can probably see something a little different, and well, it's something for the JDM fans. So this is a Toyota Starlet GT EP82. This particular car is something that I'm very fond of, and the reason for that is, well, it was kind of one of my first turbo-powered cars when I was a lot younger. So I really love these things, and of course you can tell it's got the Tom's body, which is just so cool to see. I mean, it's getting so hard to find a car with this kit on it right now, in the present day sort of thing. So it's a real throwback for me to see this, and I'm really in love with it. I think I might need another one of these in the future. I've had about 3 of these, and I've had about 4 Glanzers as well. So I'm I know my way around these cars, let's say. I remember once I went to somebody's house and parked outside was one of these. And it was a very clean, I think it was either black or it was a dark green, like the car behind me. It was the quad headlamp version, so a later model. And I was so shocked. I was really shocked. I couldn't, fathom what this thing was. It looked like a Micra, but it didn't. And it said GT Turbo down the side, and of course that immediately sparked my interest. And so I approached the house, knocked on the door, and a drunk guy came to the door. And he was trying to explain to me, how he was busy and could I come back at a later date? And I was like, yeah, okay, no problems. Before I left, I had to find out what this thing was. And he said, oh yeah, I just got this a week ago, and it was a fresh import from Japan, and it was a very fast little pocket rocket. So basically, I mean, back then we were into Renault 5 turbos, Uno turbos, Fiesta RS turbos, things like that. So for this to enter the scene, it was kind of a little game change going on. And the funny part of the story is, like I said, the guy was drunk. And as soon as I got the details on what this car actually was, I left and I started walking down the street back to my car. And the guy pulled out of his drive in this car, well, in one of these cars, and he literally tore it off down the street, basically. He was going as fast as he could down the street, and it was awesome to see and hear, but a little bit on the dangerous side because obviously he was drunk. So that was my introduction to these cars, and from then, I mean, I've been around them for a very long time, up until probably 2 years ago. The last one that me and a friend had was a Glanzer V, and it had a 6-speed manual transmission swap. So I've, obviously been around these things until fairly recently. And yeah, I mean, I'd love another. I always remember in the past, and this is probably still going on back about 20 years ago, I used to look on Yahoo auctions for parts for these cars. And I mean, you could get like Cruise, Jam, Zepp parts for these cars. And at that time I didn't know what was, what my future was, but it turns out that I actually went to some of these shops when I came to Japan. And I got to do things that are really important memories for me. So for example, I went to the Zepp racing shop, which was down in Osaka, and they were basically racing some of these and Glanzers at the time. Those guys, I think I was probably the first foreigner to go to their shop, and they actually invited me to Central Circuit so that I could watch their Glanzer. It was this very high spec Glanzer at the time race. So I was really impressed you know, with how they worked on the cars and how fast they'd made these cars. I mean, there was GTRs on the track and there was Glanzers and GTs. And on the twisty parts of the track and for the better part of the whole circuit, these cars were hanging off the back end of GTRs and things like that. It was really impressive stuff back in the day for me to see. So these are basically where I come from. I wouldn't say my first experience with turbo cars and things like that, but certainly my first turbo car was one of these. So it's really, really cool that I've got the chance now to make this video and talk to you guys about this one, because it's just it's such a throwback for me, and I've always loved them, and now seeing this one like this, it's making me want another one. And in fact, I think I'm going to have to buy one at some point. So that might be another little side project that perhaps we can do in the future, and you know, get some extra videos going with something like this. It'd be really cool anyway to keep that sort of dream alive. Let's get into the car itself. So as you can see, it's got a full Tom's body kit. There's also Tyne coilovers, and from my short drive from the car park to here, I can tell you that the suspension setting is so hard, and it was another part of my past that sort of came back to me, because all of my Starlets from the past were set up very in a circuit style, let's say. So the suspension was very hard, and this has got a diff in it. I can feel the diff. The engine is not so modified. It's got just a filter on it. There's no boost up, there's no boost control, there's no aftermarket Blitz turbos, no downpipe, no ECU that's aftermarket, things like that. So it's a relatively stock base car. But I mean, looks-wise, I can't stop looking at it, to be honest, because there's been a couple of colours that I've really liked that Toyota have done, and one is the pearl white, and then the other is this very, very dark metallic green. And those of you that own these will know that when you get up close to them and the sun is hitting them, you can see so many like glitter all over the paint. And it is one of my favorite colors of all time, this color particularly. So this is going to go off to America, and I'm very, very sure that the owner is going to love this thing. These are an absolute hoot to drive. They got the 2-stage turbo, of course, settings. This one's got an exhaust on it, a HKS exhaust, but it's a catback, and it does make some nice noises. It's really cool. It certainly does look nice on the back. Other than that, this particular car hasn't been modified any further than that. The mileage isn't overly high, and the interior is relatively clean, I think. The body actually is really, really clean on this car. So the owner is going to really, really appreciate this one, and I will be sad to see it go. So anyway, enjoy the footage that we have for you for the car. And of course, as always, if you want anything like this, please do get in contact, because there are still some opportunities like this, waiting for you. So yeah, shoot us a message, anything you want. We can sort of make your dreams come true, let's say. So yeah, like I said, enjoy the show, and don't forget, like and subscribe.
I go over anything like ranch, facts. Think I want a yacht and a ranch, yes. Hit the boulevard and hit my dance. Everybody wanna be a boss, but they can't, but they motherfucking can't. I go over anything like ranch. Had to tell my old hoes, bon voyage like I'm in France. Hey, now I eat hors d'oeuvres and get them served at my advance. Hey, fuck up on my face, please and thank you in advance. Hey, I'm like, hey, yeah, you know the game. Ice all in my veins. bitch, ain't nothing changed. I got money in the bank and a Roth IRA. Put the drinks on my tab and a bitch on my lap. And oh yeah, I go over anything like ranch. Facts. Think I want a yacht and a ranch. Yes. Hit the boulevard and hit my dance. Everybody wanna be a boss, but they can't. But they motherfucking can't.
I go over everything like ranch, going up across the map, heating up like climate change. Hold on, touch the thermostat. Hibachi volcano, light it up, my circle stack. Young boss, been about the cash, Mr. Crash. I heard that my ex, man. She rolled by the crib and saw I turn it to a sex shack. Bent back, face down, popping for the realest in the game. Over everything like ranch in the kitchen's where I stay with.